Hey guys, my name is Nina. Today we're doing this. So, Sex Education recently came out on Netflix. So, I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the characters. First up is Eric. So, in the first episode, Eric says that this new school year, is going to transform them into killer whales. And I think that's an awesome way to start off the show because he does. He really turns into a killer whale by the end of this season. And he looks amazing at that prom they go to. And I just think it's a great foreshadowing. So, in the first episode, you find out that Eric plays the French horn really badly. And I just don't understand. Throughout the show, you never really find out why he continues to play the French horn, or if he knows that he's really bad at it, and what his motivations are to join Swingman in the first place. It's just a weird side story that I don't really understand, and I would love to learn more about it. If you have any theories about that, please let me know. Another really funny quirk that Eric has is when someone that is like cool or popular is approaching him and Otis, he's like, they're coming, they're here, Otis, they're here. And it's really funny. In the first episode, when you meet Adam, he's like bullying Eric and he's like trying to get his food from his lunchbox. And as he's like trying to get the curly whirly, Eric is like, oh, that's just my pencil case. This is where you first find out about his pencil case. And then later on in more scenes, you find out that his pencil case is actually a shoe. And I don't know if it's a shoe-shaped pencil case or if it's actually a shoe. He just puts his pencils in a shoe. But I think that's just really funny. Also, I love Eric's relationship with his dad. It starts off a little rocky, obviously. His dad not really understanding why he wants to dress up like a girl or wear makeup or act in a certain way. And as the show progresses, the dad sort of learns along the way and learns to accept him, and you find out that he really just wanted Eric to feel safe in this new country and fit in. And then, of course, Eric's story arc is really well done as well, because obviously the main character is Otis, and you find out that Otis and Maeve are creating this therapy business, and then you can kind of see that Eric is a little jealous of their friendship, and he feels a little lost and a little left out. And I was really worried that that was going to be like the extent of his character, where he just plays the jealous friend. And I was really not about that because you see that all the time. But I really love how they showed that he was jealous, but then they showed him trying to get over that and join different activities, do different things to busy himself instead of just being toxic or whatever. He joins swing band, he goes to be a dog walker, which leads to a really great scene. Overall, I think Eric is... Honestly, every character in this show is kind of amazing, but overall I think Eric is a really well-built character and he's well-rounded. Moving on to Jackson. So I actually shipped Jackson and Maeve near the end. You can really tell that when Jackson's trying to get Maeve in every scene that they are encountering each other, if you know what I mean. You can tell that he really likes her and he actually does want to get to know her, which is great, but he goes about it in the wrong way, obviously, because he just changes himself to what he thinks that Maeve is going to like. Another thing that's great about Jackson's story arc is that he has a backstory. He's not just the other guy, so Otis being the main character, you are rooting for him to be with Maeve, but Jackson is not just a one-tone character who's just there to cause conflict. He has his backstory with his two moms and his swimming and him being pushed too hard with the swimming. And I think that's really great because you don't see that often where everybody sort of has their own story and they're not just there for filler characters. In the last episode, he tries to help Maeve by making a deal with the dean, saying if he swims, then make sure that Maeve doesn't get expelled. And then obviously the dean doesn't hold up his end of the bargain, and I'm just like, Jackson, always get it in writing, or at least on recording or something, so that you can prove to the courts that you made a deal. And my last thing to say about Jackson is his eyes. Are they real? Are they contacts? Because they are gorgeous if they are real. The next character I'd like to talk about is Maeve. So Maeve is a really complex character. We are first introduced to Maeve as the cool girl. She has sort of a reputation, and when she bumps into Otis and then the Jackson and his buddies come by, one of his friends keeps saying to her, nice rack, nice rack. And then she's like, say it again. And then she comes forward and knees him in the nuts. And I think that's the best thing ever because I feel like a lot of shows, they don't give you the satisfaction of someone fighting back. Or someone, like, not just, like, cowering and being like, oh, I'm being bullied. She was like, no, this is not okay, and I'm going to do something about it. And it was really nice to see. They do that in Insatiable as well. It's just really satisfying to see the main character in Insatiable punch a guy in the face. Because you always go, punch him, hit him! And then it never comes to fruition, but these two shows did that, and it's just satisfying. I really like the fact that you can tell that she likes Jackson back. Obviously, you think that Otis and Maeve are going to be endgame, but it just shows that you can like more than one person at a time, and that life isn't just black and white. So Maeve could like Jackson. You can tell near the end that she didn't fully commit to that relationship. They seem happy throughout the show, but at the end there, when she doesn't tell Jackson everything that's going on with her, and he says, "It means you don't trust me, it means you never have," it's because the whole time she liked him, but she didn't like him like she likes Otis. Everyone blames Maeve at the end, and it's like really annoying, like on her behalf. Like when the dean is like, "Oh, these are drugs, they must be your drugs," or when she was bringing Jackson back home from the prom and he's drunk, and then his mom slams the door in her face as if it was her that got him drunk. It's just not fair to judge her like that. And I know it happens in the world and it happens all the time, but it's just frustrating to see. And then at the end, you feel heartbroken for Maeve because her brother goes away, and she finally realizes that she really likes Otis, and then she goes to tell him, and then she sees them kissing. But what was great about that is that even though everything bad has happened to her, and you know she deserves happiness, when she goes back to her trailer, they have Amy sitting there ready to learn some card games, and I think that was so great because I was going to be so mad if her storyline ended on a sad note. But she always has Amy. Alright, one of my favorite characters in this show is Adam. He is shown to be like the stereotypical bully at the beginning. You're like, oh, he's just gonna be the mean guy. And then he just gets really great. I don't want to say that the best part about this character is his relationship with Eric, but it is my favorite part about him because that storyline was just, oh, it made me so happy. At the beginning, I initially thought that he was struggling with his sexuality because he wasn't able to ejaculate when he was having sex with Amy. So that was like the first hint that something was going on there. It turns out that he was just like trying to live up to an impossible standard or something. But I think a little bit had to do with his sexuality. Amy also mentions to Maeve at one point that he can be really sweet when no one's watching. And I feel like that's true for a lot of bullies. And I think it's great that they're pointing that out. That, yeah, on the surface he's a bully, but there's more to it. I find it interesting that they use the bully trope. Someone who's struggling with their sexuality, and so they take it out in aggression. They did that as well in Glee. I don't know how well they do it, and I don't know how well their relationship can last properly in the next season without some sort of redemption arc, because it's a little toxic to bully someone and then all of a sudden everything is fine and they're dating. But Adam takes his Viagra and his penis is getting really big. The actor's acting is like really well done. I think his panic is really shown in his face, and yes, he's a bully, but you can see that he's really struggling right now. Then we get that really awesome dog walking scene where you see his walls sort of come down when he's talking to Eric, and he's like walking his mom's dog, and he's sort of helping him out even though he has his little snarky remarks. I mean, that scene doesn't end very well, and it leads to him putting a bunch of dog poop on Eric's family's car, but my question is, where did he get all that dog poop? Like, did he search in garbage bins or, like, in the park everywhere to just find all that dog poop? I want to see that scene where he's just collecting all of that. Another really funny thing about Adam is that he's always standing so close to people. He'll, like, be right up in Eric's face and you think, oh, he's just intimidating him, but then he does it to Otis, too, when he comes over to study with him. Now, the most important scene, okay, it's not that important, but I really love it, is when Eric and Adam are doing their detention together, and when he was shooting the spitballs, it resembled, teasing between two people that like each other, so that was really cute. And then we get the kiss scene. Now, I like the kiss scene because they were, like, rolling around fighting, and then it was, like, sexual tension, and then eventually they kiss. But what I don't like about it is that it started off with them spitting on each other, and I don't know about you, but I have a really, I do not like spit. I have a story about that, but that's another video. Then there's also, Adam's whole story arc. His relationship with his dad and his mom is a little rocky. And comparing his parental relationship to that of Eric's, they sort of have not parallel storyline, but like a perpendicular storyline where Eric and his dad have like reconciled, and Adam and his dad have sort of deteriorated. And his mom seems to be not in agreement with her husband, but she's very passive. She doesn't do anything about it. And I think that is shown even more through the idea that she named her dog Madam, because she can control Madam. She can do what she wants with Madam, and it sounds like Adam. But she has no control over her son or what she thinks about how to raise her son, because the dean makes all the decisions. In that one scene at the end when Adam finds out that he's being sent to military school, he's like, please don't make me go. And she just says, it's what your father wants. Like, grow some balls, lady. Now, I hope in season 2 that we get Adam coming back from military school, and he's got like this cute military haircut, and we see his like progression and how he's changed. And hopefully they redeem his bully persona so that him and Eric could like work well as a couple. Also, I love the fact that Adam Groff is the best artist in the art class. Now, I can't talk about sex ed without talking about the main character, Otis, but honestly, I don't have much to say on Otis because he's not really that interesting. Obviously, he has his little problems with his mom and his sexual trouble, but I don't really have anything to say about that, nor am I educated about that sort of relationship, so I'm just going to skip over that. And then the end of the season, I don't understand why Otis goes for Ola. He steals the award for Maeve, and he gives the award to Maeve, and it makes it look like he's going to try to get Maeve for himself. And then all of a sudden he goes and buys cat food for Ola and tries to get Ola back and get Ola to forgive him. And I am not against him and Ola being together, but it was a weird transition because I thought it was him finally realizing that he wants to be with Maeve and that Maeve and him were going to get together. Also, his way of getting Ola back is a little weird. I mean, yeah, it's cute you bought all those cans of cat food for her, but it's just reiterating the point that she's a cat and she is not a lioness. I don't know if I would have forgiven him. I would have been like, wow, great, thanks. Now to talk about the best character of the show overall, Lily. I love Lily. She's just so honest and quirky and funny. I love the fact that when she comes up to Otis to talk to him about her sexual problems that she's having with her new friend, her new lover, and he's like, oh, I don't want to have sex with you. And she replies with, I don't want to have sex with you either. It was really awkward. And then she proceeds to recount the entire experience as if Otis hadn't been there. And I just think it's funny. It's like, he knows what happened, but she's just great. It's funny. We got a conclusion on Maeve's story. We got a conclusion on Otis and Ola, Eric, and sort of Adam. But we never get to find out what happens to Lily, if she has overcome her fears about sex, even though it doesn't seem like she has any, but she has that insertion problem. We never get to find out what happens, and I think that's sad, and I hope that they come back to it in the next season. Another smaller character in the story is Amy, and Amy is also well-rounded in her storyline. She has the problems she has with her friend group that always treat her badly and tell her to break up with her boyfriend and tell her what to do. And I don't understand why she stays with them, which is why I thought it was really great at the end that she redeems herself and says, I don't want to be your friend anymore, and she walks away with Maeve. I mean, they should have been friends from the beginning, so that was just a really great wrap-up to her story. I'm really glad that Otis's mom gets a love interest. I mean, I'm not really invested in her storyline, but I just really like the love interest that she gets. When he shows up and he's mistook for one of her patients, it's really funny. But I find it strange because he's like, I need to get my toolbox. And then she's just like, follow me, and so he follows her. But my question is, why did he not have his toolbox in his hand in the first place? Like, why would you knock on the door and then not be ready to do the job that you're there for? I'd also like to talk about the dean, because he is just awful. Like, he's not someone you love to hate. You just hate him. This guy has no place being a dean, especially the way he treats Maeve. He ignores her intelligence. He bases his assumptions on her background and her family history, on her brother. It just irks me. And then when her brother is at their prom and he's kicking him out, he's like, leave. Now. And with that long pause in the middle, it just reminds me of Snape when Snape says, someone might think that you're up to something. And then at the beginning of the show, the dean mentions that there's asbestos in like the abandoned bathrooms. And then the entire show they're hanging out in those washrooms. And I'm like, There's asbestos in the air, you're gonna get sick. Maybe the whole show is gonna end with them dying of some sort of disease that they catch. My background's changed because it keeps falling down. But those are my thoughts on Sex Education. I really recommend you go watch it if you haven't seen it. And if you have any recommendations of shows that I should watch, please let me know down below because I need them.